So far we've been assigning text to our variables. We can also assign other types of data to our variables, such as integers. So here, as you can see with the integers, we don't surround it in quotes. It is only the text that we surround in quotes. And in Python, another name for text is string. So let's explore other types of variables. The first variable we're going to start with is the integer type. And with the integer type, we are assigning integer numbers. So something like age will always be an integer. PIN number would also be an example of an integer variable. Temperature is also an example of an integer variable, because these are all integer numbers that are being assigned to a variable. And there's another type of number which we call a float. And these are basically more precise numbers. So for instance, pi measurement has a decimal value. So this will qualify as a float type of variable. Also, let's say some type of currency like dollars. Since it has some type of decimal value, this will also be a float. Also, we have another type of data. If you look at this, you'll see that it is scientific notation. So if you're familiar with scientific notation, you'll know that this number is equivalent to this number over here. And all of these types of data will be considered as a float because these are more precise numbers. And another type of variable which I mentioned earlier is the string data. And this is basically text that we surround in quotes. And as you can see here, it is not only double quotes that indicate a string type. We can also use single quotes. So as an example, if you're assigning the text yellow, this will be a string. Also, any type of phrase or sentence or paragraph is also considered as a string. And also something that you're familiar with, which is a password, which is a combination of numbers or text or special characters. This would also be considered as a string. The next type of variable that we're going to talk about is the bool or boolean. And this type of variable has only two states. It's either true or false. So this is what we consider as a boolean. So for instance, a light can only be either on or off. So that will be a boolean. So another type of data that will be a boolean is dead or alive. It only has two states. And also, ready to start will be a boolean because it's either ready or it's not. So as you can see, we have these four data types. If you're ever confused about what data type you're using and you want to check your data type, you can use a keyword we have in Python called type. And all you have to do is surround the variable that you're trying to check in these parentheses. So for instance, this will output a value. And in order to display this value to the screen, we'll have to surround this in a print statement. So what we're essentially doing here is checking the type of the variable age. And now when we run this code, it shows that it is of type integer. So let's do a similar thing here. First, let me comment this out. So let's check the results of the type of dollars. And as you can see, it is a float. And if we were to do the same thing for the variable color, you'll see that it's a string. And finally, we will do the same thing for the variable dead, and you'll see that it is a Boolean. So when you create a variable in Python, it auto detects the type of variable that you have assigned. So unlike other programming languages, you don't have to explicitly state what type of variable that you're creating. Python will automatically detect that for you. So in almost every aspect of our lives, we have different types of data. And I'll show you an example. Here, we have a gaming scenario. And we have a gaming character which is named Sniper. And in this case, it's a string. And the amount of lives that this sniper has is an integer, which is 5. And the accuracy of this sniper is 89.57, which is a float. And the status of this character, whether or not it's locked or unlocked, is true, which is a Boolean. And now let's switch focus to the dating scene. This would be a dating profile. In this case, the name of the person is Chioma, and the status of Chioma is single, and the age is 23, and the match is 67.3%. And as you can see, these are all different data types which makes up a profile. The first is a string, and then a Boolean, and then an integer, and then a float. So as you can see, we use different data types in so many different aspects of